The show focused on delivering beneficial information on everything to do with products and services that can improve your life. This is Experts on Call on AM 650.
Welcome back to the program, Sterling Fox, on Recovery Radio. We're calling it that because we're talking about addiction and recovery and hope, and the Orchard Recovery Center on Bowen Island. Its executive director is Lorinda Strang, and Lorinda has brought along Anne-Marie McCullough, who also now works at the Orchard Recovery Center. Hello, Anne-Marie.
Hello.
You are in the communications end of the business over there on Bowen Island, but you, like Lorinda, are a recovering person. Tell us your story, please.
Where would I want to start this? I guess just like most people, I started drinking at a young age, probably earlier than most. I had grown up in a family where there was alcoholism. My father actually passed away from his addiction when I was 11. So although I had seen what alcoholism looked like, I didn't really understand. There was a lot of denial. My mom didn't really talk about it. She still continues to not really talk about what was really going on with my dad. And because I wasn't really given the truth, I had to come to my own conclusions and discover for myself that alcohol was going to be a problem for me. So I started drinking pretty heavily at 14. Started pretty much every weekend drinking to excess.
So you'd be like in grade 9 or 10 then,
yeah,
wouldn't you? Wow.
I was.
Okay.
And that continued. The way that I drank kind of continued the entire 23 years that I drank. It was pretty much weekends. It was always excessive. It was always binge drinking, I guess they would call it today.
Right.
And I got into the DJ world in my mid-20s. That led to experimentation with other drugs, ecstasy, cocaine. I worked in an after-hours club where, staying up till 6 in the morning, sort of, you needed something to keep you awake.
Some kind of stimulation,
exactly. Yeah. And that world, really lends itself to addiction.
Sure.
And, I worked in bars. I always had jobs that would allow me to sort of go undetected in my addiction. I think for a long time I just thought I was socially drinking. I thought that my drinking and drugging were social and just I was having a good time. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s I met my husband and I wanted to stop using the drugs. I didn't think that drinking was a problem. I just wanted to stop the drugs. And even though I committed to him that I was going to stop, I found out that I couldn't, and my disease just kind of went underground, and I was being deceitful about the drugs that I was using, and probably about 3 or 4 years after meeting him, I found myself in a doctor's office. I had gone to therapy on and off all my life. I guess sort of dealing with the trauma of my childhood, etc. But I started to see various doctors in my 30s. I always thought that there were other things going on with me. Something was wrong.
Right.
I just never realized it was the drinking and the drugging. Anyways, I found myself in the office of a counselor who suggested to me that I might be an alcoholic. And I can honestly say that was the first time that thought had ever crossed my mind, was when it was presented to me by another person. I had never considered that my drinking was the issue. But from that moment, the seed was planted. There was no denying it at that point. I knew that I was probably needing to look at this. And unfortunately, the people around me were telling me that I didn't have a problem. When I asked my husband at the time, I asked some friends, they thought that my drinking seemed social to them.
Sure.
And that's just because I was really good at keeping, sort of compartmental pieces of my life. So anyway, fast forward a bit, my bottom, and I think everybody's bottom looks different.
Sure.
Some people lose everything on the outside. I didn't lose the external things. I didn't lose my job or my home or my family, but I definitely woke up one day after a night of drinking and realized that I had crossed some boundaries, some moral and just personal boundaries for myself, and realized that I was not the person that I thought I was. And that for me was my bottom. It was a realization that I was not congruent, that who I portrayed myself to be and who I really was.
Just too huge a gap there.
So
did you check yourself in?
I did.
And why did you choose the Orchard Recovery Center?
Well, one of my good friends who came to my rescue that morning, my fateful moment of clarity moment, I called a friend who I knew had been to treatment. And I actually had another friend who had gone to another treatment center. So I talked to both of them, and I found out what these programs offered and what it would look like. And I chose the Orchard because I felt that I wanted to be somewhere where I was going to be treated with respect and dignity, which I was. I wanted to be somewhere where I was going to be comfortable and eat well, because even though, like I said, my life hadn't fallen apart on the outside, I was still somewhat taking care of myself.
Sure.
I still ate well and, exercised and went to yoga and had sort of an attempt at having a spiritual life, if you will. So the things that the Orchard offered very much were in line. Their holistic approach was very much in line with who I was or like I said, who I thought I was anyway.
Right.
So it felt like it was going to be the right fit, and it absolutely was. I mean, from the moment I arrived, it was, the warmest welcome, amazing staff, great food, beautiful room, comfortable bed. I actually was one of the lucky people who had there's a few rooms that have fireplaces. I happen to have my bed right in front of the fireplace. So, I really truly believe, with all of my heart, that people do not need to be institutionalized to recover.
Sure.
They can be treated with...
They need to be helped.
They need to be helped.
Right.
They're not bad people. They're sick people. I was a sick person and I needed to get well. And you can do that absolutely in an environment that is therapeutic and warm and loving and supportive. So that's why I chose it.
And how long have you now been sober?
Well, I'm coming up on 5 years. It'll
Congratulations.
be 5 years, one day at a time.
Oh, yeah. It still is. And
Yeah.
Lorinda, you said 23 years in your
Yes.
case. And it's still one day at a time. I have a really good friend who's 17, 18 years into it, and it's every day. It's, you check it off. I made it through another one. It's that kind of life, isn't it? Once you get to the other side, you never stop fighting. You never stop keeping your chin up and being aware that you could slide backwards, right? If you have a family member or a loved one who you know needs professional assistance in recovery from addiction, the experts to call are, Anne-Marie and Lorinda and the team at the Orchard Recovery Center over on Bowen Island. Check out the website. That's where all the contact stuff is happening. It's orchardrecovery.com. And we're fresh out of time. We will do this again soon. Lorinda, thank you so much for this. And Anne-Marie, good to meet you too.
Thanks.
We'll see you both next time.
Thank you.